Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. I'm also like right on the verge of 70k with this channel, so subscribe to help me reach that milestone. Also, I have to promote real quick my NBA series over on my 2k channel. If you have not checked it out yet, episode 1 is on my main channel. The following episodes are on the 2k channel. So if you like realistic rebuild 2k type content, that is available as well. Anyways, today's video is yet another video about Ben Simmons because god damn it, what the fuck else is there to talk about? The reports of Ben Simmons not being willing to report to training camp have been made official, and while I talked about this briefly in my Ben Simmons video, and I think I even made a video talking about the fact that he would not report to training camp, I didn't really talk too much about a debate that really started to spark a lot today when the report became official. So it became official through Adrian Wojnarowski, who said that Philadelphia 76ers all-star Ben Simmons will not report for opening of the training camp next week and intends to never play another game for the franchise. Simmons hasn't spoken to team. Good wording there, Woj. Hasn't spoken to the team since a late August meeting when he communicated this message to Sixers officials. So in late August, apparently Ben said, "Fuck y'all, I'm out." And this sparked a debate as to whether or not this was a professional move by Ben Simmons. And the reason I put professional in air quotes is that I don't really care too much about like what is professional, because often like I think professionalism is used as a way to mask fucking somebody over, like just ruining someone's life with a smile on your face so that they can't get too mad at you. But to an extent, there is validity in the idea of professionalism, in that, you know, don't be a fucking dickhead. And really, that's where most people are coming from here, where they're like, Ben Simmons is acting like a little childish and a little bit like, hey, I'm in control of this situation and do what I want, when no, he's not, and they don't have to, because Ben is on a 4-year contract. He is still relatively young, and it's a fixed contract, not a player or team option or anything like that. And he is in here for the long haul. His contract is in for the long haul, for whether he stays on the Sixers or he's traded somewhere else. And also, the not reporting to training camp move is really a move that's reserved for really, really good players, like superstar caliber. And I did see, I do want to mention real quick about this, just the idea of this in general. We tend to forget about this stuff. Like, most people don't really hold on to this stuff long term. Like, the James Harden shit, for example, I thought that was unprofessional. And I even made a video on it way back when that happened, which feels like a century ago. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really change my opinion of James Harden in the long term, and it hasn't really stuck around. Like, I don't see many people talking about that anymore, just because the news cycle kind of keeps pushing things along, and then things like that are not great but also not the biggest deal in the world kind of get left in the dust. And I think that's very well what will happen with Ben Simmons, even though the breakup between him and the Sixers is definitely going to be something that's talked about for a little bit of time. But as for my opinion as to whether or not is unprofessional, when I made my video, just the reality check on Ben Simmons, I think was the title, I talked about Ben Simmons' angle on this, where it's like, you don't really have anyone to be mad at but yourself. But the one caveat that I would give to that is that if he is doing this simply for leverage to get himself into a new situation, that is perfectly fine. I think what is more important than the act itself of not showing up to training camp is the motivation and like the emotion behind it, I suppose. Like, if he's doing it out of spite and he just hates the Sixers organization and the players and the coaches and the management and all of that now, I think that's dumb, because I don't think he has anyone to be mad at. but himself in terms of how he performed versus the Hawks and the fact that he is up on the trading block. Like, I saw some people like, why wouldn't Ben be mad because they've been trying to trade him? But really, they didn't even try to trade him when they probably should have back with the Harden deal. At least the report suggested that they were more unwilling to move him than they should have been. And not to mention, they committed to Ben Simmons immediately. And they gave him the room, not the best position to do what they could because Embiid and him was just inherently a bad fit, but they gave him the keys. They allowed him to be as good as he could be outside of that one circumstance, which is a big deal, but you're not trading Joel Embiid, so you take what you can get. And up until that Hawks series, the Sixers seemed firmly committed to Ben Simmons. And when many people would argue, they shouldn't have been at that point. So Ben Simmons really has no room to be mad at them for that. He just shouldn't be mad at Doc Rivers for saying, I don't know, when asked if Ben Simmons is a championship starting point guard. Because, first of all, none of us know until Ben Simmons is a championship starting point guard. And then second of all, there was the Joel Embiid thing where he commented on Ben not taking that dunk, and that was a big momentum shifter. Sure, there are parts of that series that are to blame on Joel Embiid. I remember one game in particular, Embiid had a terrible half. I can't remember which one it was. But at the end of the day, Ben Simmons was the one who didn't take that dunk. It was his fault it was mainly his fault for that loss. There was a lot of terrible rotations by Doc Rivers. He was running like a 9-10 man rotation in like game 7. But regardless, Ben should be mad at himself in terms of how that went and how things have gone now. He is the main catalyst in his downfall in Philadelphia. And if he is coming from that angle of being mad at them for what he did, that is childish and dumb and not a good reflection on his character. At the same time, that is entirely well, not entirely speculation. There's been reports that suggest that's how he feels, but of course, we'll never really know unless we're in the fucking room with the guy or he says something directly. If he's just doing it for the sake of moving on to a new team because he realizes, hey, this is clearly something that needs to end. I need a new change of scenery. I will work on my game from there, and hopefully a new spot will utilize me better. I completely understand that, and I think that's the right move. It's certainly going to be awkward, this situation, because they might not be able to trade him because we know Daryl Morey is going to be stingy about making sure he gets the right players and assets and stuff. And actually, before I say what I'm going to say next, let me make sure Daryl Morey is still following me on Twitter. He is. Okay, I'll not say anything too harsh, but I think he's a little too stingy. And Ben Simmons should have been traded a while ago, and because of that, he hasn't. And Ben doing this is going to reduce his trade value when it already wasn't very low, so it's not a great position for the Sixers. It's not a great look for Ben Simmons, even though I would lean towards it's probably fine. And again, we're not going to remember this shit a couple months from now. We'll not even really remember or care about this shit. And they just need to move on. It just needs to happen. How many times has this been said now? Like, I feel kind of ridiculous making a Ben Simmons video now because I've talked about it so much. Like, this is the most I have covered a player being almost traded or going to be traded in my entire time as an NBA content creator, because everything else, the player gets traded within a reasonable amount of time because it's very clear that needs to happen. And it's been very clear that needs to happen from the moment that Game 7 the buzzer went off. So come on, let's speed this thing up. Let's get it done, because at the end of the day, even if this is unprofessional and Ben Simmons is not going to be remembered, I'm just happy to see him somewhere else and to see him get an opportunity to hopefully finally make the strides in his game that he's been needing to make. I've said a million times now that if he was on the Timberwolves, that'd be a perfect fit, and I really hope that's what ends up happening, especially if they can retain D'Angelo Russell. You give them Malik Beasley and a first-round pick or two. That's a decent enough return, being that Ben Simmons' value is as low as it is, and Malik Beasley is a 20-point per game, great three-point shooter, so that's a decent return. But regardless, that's the move I'd like to see. The Warriors one doesn't make sense if they're keeping Draymond Green, which they should. So I don't know what the move is. I just want it to fucking happen. And Ben Simmons is a damn good player, but he's not good enough to where this move is really going to work. Like, I don't think he's drastically affected the momentum. It's just another example upon the many other ones where it's like, this just needs to happen. Let's move on with our lives. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I don't think it's unprofessional, really. I think it's a little childish if his mentality is that he's blaming everybody. But if he's just using it purely from a business perspective, which I would lean toward, that's probably it at this point anyways. I completely understand that, and I think that's probably even the right thing to do, and hopefully it just inches us one step closer to it finally fucking happening. So that's my thoughts on the Ben Simmons situation. Again, I pray this is the last video that I do until he's actually traded. So yeah, that is it. Goodbye.